Welcome to a windy northwest Arkansas, and we're in the town of Gravette. And I actually passed through here a while ago and did a small town downtown video where I went through 10 little towns in this area in Arkansas and Missouri, and this had a really cool little downtown. So I'm going to come back and check it out, and then tell a little bit more about maybe the history of the town of Gravette, and then we're going to go just down the road. There's a cave, and we're going to go check it out. So let's learn about the history of Gravette first. We're looking there at Highway 59 that most of the traffic comes through Gravette on. And as we go to the left here, this is the old Main Street, kind of the historic downtown area. So Gravette is in Benton County, Arkansas, which is in the northwest corner of the state, just a few miles from Missouri in the north and Oklahoma to the west. The motto of the town is the heart of hometown America. It was once referred to as the Gate Community because it was referenced to being the gateway to northwest Arkansas from Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. So the northwest Arkansas population has really exploded in the recent decades, and so this was the original gateway to that area. So this town has 19 churches, 3 of which are over 100 years old. So the original settlement in this area was called Nebo, and it was from the 1870s. So the post office was 1878 to 1894. There was a man named Ellis Gravett who opened up the Chalk Valley Distillery in Nebo and also owned a general mercantile store. And then in 1891, he moved his store west out of the valley here to what is now downtown Gravette. And then in 1894, they named the town after him, so quite an honor for Ellis. So his name didn't have a E on the end. It just ended with 2 T's, and that's why it was called Gravette and not like Gravette, possibly. So not quite sure why they added the E, probably a post office error at some point through the years. So Gravette was aided around 1898 by the arrival of the Arkansas and Oklahoma Railroad. That was later the Frisco, and that greatly stimulated the fruit growing industry in the region by providing easy access to markets. The town was incorporated in 1899. Gravette has had its share of noteworthy citizens over the years. One is Captain Field Kinley, the 4th ranked flying ace of World War I. He spent his youth here. Former WBO heavyweight boxing champion Tommy Morrison was also born in Gravette. He also starred in the movie Rocky V with Sylvester Stallone. So as you look at the population figures, you can see how it's under 1,000 for most of the time, and then gradually increased, and you can see how it's really exploded like the rest of northwest Arkansas, up to 3,547. Pretty interesting town here, Gravette. A little bit bigger than we normally would profile, so I didn't show you everything in town. When it's got over 3,000 people, it's just, you know, these videos go on forever. So we want to get to the next cool thing, which is the Old Spanish Treasure Cave. Now, actually, the cave is technically in Sulphur Springs, Arkansas. I did a video about Sulphur Springs, a profile of that town, and I didn't include the cave. But the cave is actually real close to Gravette. You know, it's in between the towns, but it's kind of, I think there's a little winding road, so we'll take that road down and check out the cave. And now we're here at the Old Spanish Treasure Cave. So it's about a 1-hour tour, costs $27, and we're gonna go check it out. So looks interesting. Let's go on inside and see what treasures we find in the Old Spanish Cave. Before we enter the cave, we'll go and check in, and got a good tour here. So the story of this cave is it was rediscovered in 1885, and according to the legend, in the 1500s, Spanish soldiers raided an Indian camp and stole a fortune in gold. Gold was hidden in one of the passageways in the cave. Seeking revenge, the Indians found the Spaniards at the cave and killed them, but did not recover the gold. Treasure hunters fruitlessly searched for years in the cave, and it became a tourist attraction open to the public in the 1930s. The passages inside the cave expand for miles and miles, and most of it is yet to be explored.
Appears dark, and then you fluoresce it under a black light, and it turns a real nice red.
There's definitely some things to check out here. A lot of things that were discovered in the cave. Some of them were not. Some of them were for sale. Some of them are just for display.
Thank you. Watch your head. Watch your head. What happened was they just kept packing layer upon layer, right? Now, something very interesting about our cave, we are going up into our cave. Most caves you go into, you start walking down. Not ours. Ours, you simply go in and we walk up into ours. So watch your step, guys. Handrails there. Our cave is known as what is a maze cave. That means it has multiple layers to it, okay? We have an upper layer, as you can see up here. We have the middle layer, which you guys will be going through today. And then directly beneath us is the third layer, and that's an underground lake, okay?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. All right, we'll go down in this first room here. Before we do, I'd like to point out this fossil to you guys here. You guys see this little fossil? So that right there is the fossil of what they call a trilobite. Now, a trilobite is simply what we know today as a horseshoe crab, except that guy's older than the dinosaurs. Okay? All right. Watch your head, guys. We call this our duck walk. Okay? All right, guys. As you come in and you look over to your right, you will notice a formation. All the formations you will see today in our cave are made out of the mineral onyx. This particular formation, we call this our bridal's veil. Here we have good examples of stalactites and stalagmites. So you'll notice on the stalactites hanging from the ceiling, they have those little white things dangling down. Those are known as soda straws. Much like our soda straws today, those are also hollow on the inside. The water drips down, gathers the mineral, deposits the mineral in the cave floor, forming a stalagmite. When the two of them eventually grow together, they form what's known as a column. If you look upon closer inspection, you will see it has multiple little pools in it, almost like swimming pools. So those eventually will all fill up with water during our wet season. When they do, it looks like a land of 1,000 lakes, shining your light across it. I'd like to point this tunnel out to everybody over here. So we call this tunnel our peanut butter tunnel. Now, most of you know that peanut butter is very thick and very sticky. This tunnel is no different than that. It's very thick, sticky mud, and that's why we call it our peanut butter tunnel. Now, do keep in mind, the entrance is right here. By the end of the tour, you will get to see the other side of the peanut butter tunnel. Our Facebook page, not only will you get to see the new discoveries we make, but you will also eventually start seeing a schedule for movies that we show inside our cave. We are licensed to show motion pictures inside our cave. What we do is we set up a giant screen, much where we're standing right here in front of the council room, which is this large room down here, if you notice. And you will purchase a ticket, you will come down, you will set up your lawn chair or your camping chair, and you will be able to watch a movie inside the cave. Now we show everything from Jurassic Park, The Goonies, Indiana Jones, we even show Jaws. I call this wall our jellyfish wall, because we see a lot of little jellyfish swimming in the ocean. So with our jellyfish, naturally, we have a sand castle, okay? And then over here, we have a pet iguana, right there. And then babysitting our pet iguana, you will notice a garden gnome. It was called Sulphur Springs Cave Company. It was also known as the Sulphur Springs Mining Company. Now, I assure you, there was absolutely nothing mined out of this cave at all, okay? It was simply set up as a front for his treasure hunting. Now, before he passed away, he had told everyone he removed everything out of the cave that was his, except for 2 pieces of bent rail track, which you will see right there, and a piece of an old ore cart. Now, that's supposedly all he left in this cave. Well, the owners got to messing around and playing with their metal detectors, and they got some hits in here. This is one of the hits they got. So it turns out that George Dunbar only buried his tracks. He didn't actually remove them. So there is a set going off this direction right through the middle of our staircase. And then we have a set that is curved off and going right through our council room floor. Eventually we are going to continue the excavation on these to see where they lead us. But we did determine that this large concrete footing here was poured inside the cave. It was not poured outside the cave. Also, upon closer inspection, you will notice the bolts that bolted something on. Those are very large. They were also put into place with the mineral lead. Now, we haven't used lead in anything in a very long time. Also, upon closer inspection, you will notice that there is a rust stain that goes all the way across where something would have been bolted. So that tells us it was something metal and a type of metal that would rust. And that's really as far as we've gotten. We have a lot of guesses, but until we find out exactly what was sitting there, we just tell what we do know. Right. You'll notice the soot stains from their fires. Right beside that, that is the natural chimney. That will eventually lead you to the surface. Now, where we are standing right now, we are 65 feet beneath the surface of the mountain, which seems odd because we walked up and into our cave and we haven't walked down yet, right? Yeah. So remember this. The mountain continues to go up. All right, guys. We're very fortunate. We have 2 natural springs, well, actually 3 natural springs inside our cave and the underground lake, okay? This is one of those springs. Now, while it doesn't look like much right now currently, after we have a very good rain and a hard rain, the water comes gushing out from that hole back there like when you open up a fire hydrant, okay? Very, very fast and very forceful. We set up this area here to show folks what it would be like to be digging inside this cave with only the light that they had, all right? The light that they had at the time, of course, was kerosene lanterns and carbide lanterns, which are the little lanterns that you see on their heads that have the silver reflector and they burn the little flame, okay? So we'll walk through here. As you can see, very dark, right? Well, as we move along, I will let you know that when they found the records back in Spain and traced them to this area, because the conquistadors had to keep excellent records about what they had stolen, they determined that the amount of the treasure that was buried in here was worth $40 million, okay? Now, the price of gold, of course, just keeps going up, up, and up. You can imagine what that treasure would be worth to this day. So we're pretty excited about this spot right here, okay? Now I'll explain to you about this spot right here. So this spot is very unique. So back in here, there's a waterfall, okay? Now, the owner, Paul, when he was digging around back here back in 2012, when we had that real severe drought and there was no water back there, he was digging around. Well, he found 3 different symbols. Now those symbols are on our Facebook page, the discovery of them. He found what is an upside down candy cane, okay? Beside the upside down candy cane, there was an eyeball, okay? And above the eyeball, there were squiggly marks. So he got to thinking, perhaps it's telling me to turn around and look behind the waterfall, okay? So he did do that, and he found something very interesting back there, okay? There is nothing but a large, still pool of water back there, and it is sealed off basically from the rest of the area, okay? So we're pretty excited to eventually be able to get back in there and look around. I'll point out to you folks right here. Here's an example of one of those black arrows, okay? And I have other examples of the black arrows that point to the exit, and you'll notice they're of different shapes and of different sizes. This is one of them. It points to the exit. So the room that we're fixing to enter, okay? This room that we're going to enter is called the heart of the cave. Now, it's not the center of our cave by any means. Our cave continues off behind you and off to the side of you, okay? But it's an old caving tradition that whoever breaks into a room first, they are the ones that get to name that room, all right? So years ago, when somebody opened up that room and got in there first, they decided to call it the heart of the cave, because if we go in and you look straight up, you will see a human heart. Not a real one, a rock one, okay? There you go, guys. Welcome to the heart of the cave. So, I point out this thermometer. This thermometer is original and was found inside our cave, okay? We leave this thermometer inside our cave because our cave is always between the temperatures of 56 to 58 degrees year round. So it's very comfortable inside our cave when the air temperature is -3 outside in the dead of winter, and it's very comfortable when the air temperature outside in the middle of summer is 110 degrees. And you're probably wondering what these little survey flags are as we go along. So those are spots that the owners hit with their metal detectors. So eventually we're going to have to dig in there and see what the hit was, what type of metal is buried inside there. We'll stop right here for a second. I'll let you guys stop right here. If you look over this direction right here, right where you are standing currently, this is the other side of Flow the Spring. So where you're standing right now is where the water gushes out underneath you, runs down between that rock right there, goes into the other area there, and eventually winds up going down to the underground Lake River. And then we come out again inside the council room, guys. Now this is a good spot. If you guys have any kinds of questions at all, feel free to ask. So, welcome to the other end of the peanut butter tunnel. This is where it comes out. You remember where it started back there? Mm-hmm. By the jellyfish wall. We walked all that distance, and here it comes out, right here. Go look in there, you can see a crocodile. You can see a turtle. Some people see a mushroom.
Thanks for joining on the tour of Gravette and the Old Spanish Treasure Cave. I'd definitely recommend coming and checking it out. Lots of caves in this area, Arkansas and Missouri, all kinds of things like that to do if this is something of interest.